Remember the pandemic? It was a global rupture, millions of lives were lost, and the world changed. Schools closed, social interactions were limited. We were separated from our friends, families, and normal routines. For youth, this loss of community hit especially hard and led to increased anxiety. What if I told you that even the hardest moments of our lives, like the pandemic, can be viewed as opportunities for growth, connection, and positive change if we shift our mindset? I can speak to this firsthand. The pandemic affected us all, but for me, it became a more lasting impact. Let me explain. I was born with a condition called spinal muscular atrophy, or SMA for short. It's a genetic condition and it affects all the muscles in my body except my brain. 1 in 40 people carry the missing gene. I was diagnosed when I was 14 months old. I got my first wheelchair before I turned 2, and I've been navigating life with SMA ever since. So during COVID, my doctor wasn't sure how COVID would affect me, so they advised me to continue homeschooling even when others got to return to school. Although I was disappointed, I figured, I guess I'll make the most of it because I didn't have much choice. Through my personal experiences as a wheelchair user and a person with SMA, I have learned that difficult situations don't have to define us. How we respond to those situations and shifting our mindset is what truly matters. It's not always easy, but I've learned that if we focus on the positive and adapt to what's in front of us, those hard moments can often lead to growth. For many of us, one of the hardest parts of the pandemic was losing community. The isolation caused many to feel disconnected from their peers, resulting in a decline in social skills and emotional well-being. Over 700 university staff and students were surveyed from 41 countries and asked what the hardest parts of self-isolation were. Majority chose how they missed personal interactions, how they were less motivated, and how they had anxiety. Without the usual interactions, whether through school, sports, or extracurricular activities, many struggled. But despite everything that was out of our control, we adapted. And in that adaptation, in our shifted mindset, we found opportunities for resilience and growth. Sometimes, unexpected challenges can lead to the most positive outcomes when we are willing to try. And that's what happened for me. One of the best unexpected outcomes of the pandemic for me was building a small business with my friend Maya. Together, we decided to make the most of this challenging time and give to those who are working in the front lines by doing something we love and keeping ourselves busy. We started with making beaded mask lanyards to give to teachers, nurses, and frontline workers. It led us to creating an Etsy shop and Instagram business page. We met so many people online through our shop and connected with many small business owners, had collaboration projects, did some live interviews, podcasts, and were featured in some magazines and articles as well. The pandemic reminded us how important community really is. Even in the most challenging times, we can find ways to rebuild and connect with others. It showed us that our social interactions, even when virtual, are vital to our health and well-being. Researchers found that online platforms became the bridge that connected us when we couldn't be physically together. We saw innovation at work. Virtual platforms became the new way of building and maintaining community. For youth, it opened creative ways to connect, whether through virtual groups or social media. When things started opening back up, our business took part in some craft fairs, and many of our online customers came to see us in person. Our fun small service project grew into a successful online business. Maya and I grew our shop, creating new products like gemstone bracelets and tespies, which we sold on our Etsy and Instagram page. Even when Maya left for med school, I was able to keep the shop open. Our shop is a successful business, but most importantly, it's maintaining its purpose of giving back. We've now been able to donate over $8,000 to various charities and expanded our community since opening. Before the pandemic, I never would have imagined I could be running a small business and contributing to causes in this way. One of the most important lessons I've learned in my life is that focusing on what we can do is key to overcoming challenges. This shift in mindset has given me so many opportunities and blessings because being able to adapt to different situations is something I'm used to. For example, there are many places that are not always wheelchair accessible, so I've had to adapt and figure out how to show up. I go hiking in a trail rider, kayaking, paddleboarding, and bike riding in an adapted bike in the summers, and I ski and snowshoe in a sit ski in the winters. It just looks different, but I can still do it, and it's a lot of fun. Traveling is also not easy for wheelchair users, but we adapt so we can enjoy the experience of seeing new places. If our family had chosen to focus only on the hardships, we may have missed out on opportunities like these. Bottom line is that we all face challenges. We all have hard days. Whether it's a global crisis, a personal setback, obstacles in our way, or a challenge we don't yet understand, when we focus on what we can do, we open the door to possibilities we may have never imagined. A positive mindset may not only change our mood and perspective, but it can also lead to unexpected opportunities and growth, creating a ripple effect. Shifting my mindset has allowed me to experience so many adventures despite the barriers, as well as the growth of my small business during the pandemic. Most challenges are outside our control, of course, but many of us can have the control over how we respond for the most part, and that response can determine the outcome. So the next time we're facing something tough, let's remember, it's not about how hard the challenge is, but how we respond to it. Life is full of challenges, but it's how we choose to show up that shapes the outcome. As the great Albert Einstein once said, in the middle of every difficulty lies opportunity. Thank you.